Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Rob's World of Boxing. Let's get it. Oh yeah. All right. We got a big night of boxing ahead of us. January 22nd, 2022. It's the yeah. It's the first boxing event that I'm excited for of 2022. The first event was King Kong Ortiz versus Charles Martin contest. They had that event. And then last week they had the Joe Smith versus stand-in opponent event. You know, with that card and everything it had to offer. But this is my favorite card so far 2022. So yeah, let's get into it. We got Mr. Gary Russell Jr. up against Mark Magsayo. It's taking place in that's the main event. The fight's taking place in Atlantic City on the newly renovated boardwalk on Showtime at 9 o'clock Eastern time. All right. You got Mr. Gary Russell Jr. He's 31-1 with 18 KOs. He's a southpaw from Washington, D.C. He stands at 5'4" with a 64-inch reach. He's going up against Mark Magsayo. He's 23-0 with 16 KOs. He's from the Philippines. He's actually Manny Pacquiao's protege. He's 26 years old. His last fight was against Julio Cesar. I actually sat and watched that fight. Cesar was doing what he was supposed to. It was a good fight, but Cesar was winning in my opinion. And yeah, man, all he had to do was survive the last 2 rounds in my opinion, and he would have won the fight. And he got KO'd in the 10th round. Yeah, man. Mark Magsayo, he had some power, to say the least. He had, man, he crumbled Cesar, man. He crumpled him in the corner. It was a pretty knockout, pretty sight to see. I bet it didn't feel too pretty or nice for Cesar, but nonetheless, it was a great show of power for Mark Magsayo. Magsayo, I don't know if I mentioned, he's 5'6" with a 68 reach advantage. So he's 2 inches taller than Russell. And he has a 4-inch reach advantage against Russell. Gary Russell Jr. His last fight was February 8th, 2020 against Tug Nyambiar. Nyambiar actually is fighting on this undercard you know, tonight or tomorrow night. And Nyambiar, he picked Nyambiar apart. He at the time they fought, Nyambiar was 12-0. He was an undefeated fighter. And he yeah, Gary Russell, he just, I mean, some people were saying they thought it was gonna be a, you know, subpar performance for Mr. Gary Russell against Nyambiar because he was coming off of such a long layoff. Well, actually, he only fights once a year, so all his fights are coming off long layoffs. I mean, if you think Gary Russell's going to be rusty because he's coming off a layoff. You must not have been following Gary Russell's career, because he's the longest reigning champion in boxing. He's been champion since 2015. And every year since 2015, I'd say even before it, since 2014, he's only fought once a year. You know what I'm saying? If that, some years he might not even fight. But yeah, so he looked great against Naviar, picked him apart. Yeah, man, he looked like Gary Russell. Freaking now he's coming back to I guess get his little one fight a year in at the top of the year. He's a busy man, I'm not even gonna lie. I see him, he training his brother, Gary Antoine Russell, and I seen him training his other brother, yeah, the other Gary Russell. I forget his, damn, I forgot his middle name. Shit. They be confused. They all got the same name. It's like 8 brothers. They all got the same name, Gary Russell. Only thing differentiate them is their middle name. But yeah, they're all well, most of them are pretty good boxers, man. I know a couple of them are undefeated boxers, actually. All right, and yeah, man, Gary Russell's, like I said, he's doing a boxing training his brothers. I heard his they're a very close knit family. I heard his dad just got his leg amputated, actually. So yeah, man, he's like the older brother of age, so he's like the pillar of his family. So yeah, you don't know what's going on in this man's life, so I don't blame him for fighting once a year. But yeah, man, hopefully Mark Magsayo, well, not hopefully for his sake, he can take advantage of, you know, Gary Russell fighting once a year, if there is anything to take advantage of, which I don't think there will be. But I think Gary Russell should get the job done in this fight. It's going to be a competitive fight. Mark Magsayo, he's an undefeated fighter. He's nothing to sleep on. Like I said, he's Manny Pacquiao's protege. He has a lot of power. But yeah, I see Gary Russell winning the unanimous decision in this fight. And moving on. This fight is at 126 pounds, if you didn't know, featherweight. Gary Russell's been a featherweight champion for a while. I see him beating him and moving on, I guess, another fight next year, because this is his one fight for this year. Another fight next year against the top guy. You know, I don't want to see you against anybody else but top guys, Mr. Russell. Navarrete, Stephen Fulton Jr., Gervonta Davis, those kind of guys. Okie dokie. All right, well, let's get into the co-main of the night. Take this weed first. Let's get to the co-main. Fuck it. We got Subriel Matisse against Pedros Anania. This is a rematch. Subriel Matisse actually lost to Anania. Their previous, well, a couple years back. It was a couple years back. Because Anania's last fight was against Daniel Gonzalez. He was 20-2. It was on 10/16/2021. After taking an 18-month layoff, he disposed of Gonzalez pretty easily. But like I said, he was coming off an 18-month layoff. And Subriel Matisse, after he lost to Ananian, he ended up beating 2 undefeated fighters in a row, Malik Hawkins and Batizan Jukumbiev. His name is crazy. Man, that was a hard name to pronounce. Jukumbiev. He was 19-0 with 15 KOs. a lot of people were high on Drew Can Behave, telling me that he was going to be a problem at 140 in the future. But Matisse disposed of that and disposed of him and in great fashion. So the first fight against Ananian was a back and forth contest with Ananian coming out on top. So I see, but not to go somewhere else with it. I actually seen Matisse fight before. I didn't see the Ananian fight. I don't know where I was at or what I was doing when that fight took place, but actually it took place. The fight took place February 2020. I'm not sure the day, but I know it took February 2020. And that was the start of the pandemic. I'm not making any excuses for Matisse, but that was the start of the pandemic. There was a lot of stuff going on February 2020. A lot of new stuff that people weren't used to. You know, the bubble fighting. And then, you know, on top of that, not making any excuses for him again. His previous fight before fighting Ananian, he had fought Maxime Dadashev. And he actually, Dadashev that is, died after the fight with Subriel Matisse from injuries sustained during their fight. So, and I seen that fight, man. That fight was brutal. Man, if you haven't, look it up. Maxime, RIP to Maxime Dadashev. Yeah, man, that fight was brutal. But yeah, man, the man died after he fought him. So that got to weigh on your psyche too. I mean, I never killed the man, you know, in the ring, or I never, you know, killed the man at all. So I don't know how that comes into play on your psyche. But it had to be a big part. But after he fought you know, after he fought Dadashev, he had a soft touch. He fought another opponent. I think the opponent he fought had about like, man, he had a high number of losses. I think he was about 24-12 with one draw. His name was Jonathan Jose Inez. You know what I'm saying? He was 24-12. And so that was basically a soft touch. Just get his mind right, if you ask me. Just get his feet back wet, like we know it's on your mind. So take this soft touch. Then we're going to throw you back into the wolves. And that's what happened. After he fought Jonathan, they threw him back to, you know, to the competitors at 140 pounds. Well, not even, because Ananian, he had 2 losses at the time they fought. So, I mean, they were just really trying to just get him back on course slowly. But, you know, Ananian did what he had to do. It was a, like I said, it was a back and forth contest. And the judges gave it to Ananian, which they should. I went back and watched it, and he did everything he was supposed to win that fight. So it should be a great rematch. Subriel Matisse, 17-0 with 17 KOs. Ananian is 16-2. So, well, actually, Subriel's 17-1 because he lost to Ananian with 17 KOs. And Ananian is 16-2. This fight is at 140 pounds. So yeah, man, let's get it. That's it's also a 12-round fight, just like the main. All right, let's get it. Let's get into our first televised fight of the night. We have like I said, Tug Niambiar going against Sakaria Lucas. Lucas, he's replacing Vic Pasillas. Pasillas was pulled out at the last minute for COVID. He tested positive for COVID. So they grab Zachariah Lucas to replace him. Lucas is 25-1 with 17 KOs. He's looking for his third straight win. He's 37 years old. He's 5'6" with a 69-inch reach. He's an orthodox fighter from Africa. This is his second fight in the U.S. He lost his first fight. So yeah, let's see what he can do against 9BR. 9BR, he's 12-2 with 9 KOs. His only losses come to upper echelon fighters, Chris Colbert, and Mr. Gary Russell Jr. He's 29 years old. He's a silver medalist for Mongolian in 2012. He's 5'7" with a 67-inch reach. And he's an orthodox fighter as well. His last fight was against who the hell did he fight last? Diane BR last fight was against Mr. Gary Russell Jr. If I'm not mistaken. We've seen what he did to him. Yeah, man, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not too versed in I haven't seen Zachariah Lucas fight at all, and I only seen NBR fight a couple times against Chris Colbert and Mr. Gary Russell Jr. So we're gonna let the fight do the talking on that one. And like I said, it's the first televised fight of the night, and let's see what it brings us. And before that, we have a 6-rounder. The fight I just talked about was 10-round fight. That was the first televised fight of the night. Like I said, this is a 6-rounder. It's not gonna be on TV. We have LaShawn Rodriguez against Sixto Sezu. Rodriguez is 12-0 with 9 KOs. He's 6 foot even. He's an orthodox fighter. He's from New York. Sixto Sezu, he's 9-2. He's 9-2 with 1 draw, 7 KOs. He's 32 years old. He's 5'8". He's from the Bronx, New York. His last fight was a unanimous decision loss to Rance Ward. Rance Ward was 5'3" with 1 draw. He was 4-3 when he beat him. So, Sixto Sezu, whatever the fuck how you say his last name, it's not a world beater to say the least. He lost to a guy who lost 3 times, only won 5. Well, only had won 4 when he fought him. And okay, Rodriguez, his last fight was 11/27/2019. That was a little over 2 years ago. It was against Francisco Javier Castro, and he won that fight. But like I said, it was a little over 2 years ago. So let's see what he has to offer. That's a long time to take off of boxing and just coming in like you're Mr. Gary Russell Jr. So let's see if you have what it takes. If you can pull a Mr. Gary Russell Jr. and come back after 2 years or, a long layoff and still look seamless with the skills. All right. Before that fight, it's another 6-rounder. We have at super welterweight. The previous fight was at middleweight that I was talking about. Rodriguez against Swezo. That was a middleweight, 160 pounds. This fight is another 6-rounder at super welterweight. It's Evan Holyfield, the legend's son, Evander Holyfield. Evan is 24 years old. He's 6'2" with a 74.5-inch reach. He's an orthodox fighter. He's from the ATL. He's going against Chris Rollins. He's just an opponent. He's 4 KOs, 32 years old, 6'1", 71-inch reach. He's from Virginia. His last fight was a loss to Giovanni Australia. Australia was 6-0 with 2 KOs. This guy looks like he just a stepping stone. So let's see if Evan Holyfield could do the same thing Giovanni Estella did and step over Chris Rollins. Holyfield last fight was against Charles Stanford. Fuck this shit. It was against Charles Stanford. Stanford was 6-3. He KO'd Stanford in the early round. I think it was the second round. Watched that fight. He hit him with a nasty right hook, put him down. His dad was at the fight. Very proud, which I would be. Evan Holyfield record right now is 8-0 with 6 KOs. I think they bring him along slowly and trying to build a star. So yeah, let's see how it goes for young Holyfield. I got faith in him. He need to work on some things, but overall he's a tough young kid, and I see a pretty bright future for young Holyfield at 154. But yeah, like I said, it's a great night of boxing. Well, pretty good night of boxing. January 22nd, in New Jersey on Showtime, 9 o'clock Eastern, taking place. So if you can, tune in to Showtime and check it out. Rob's World of Boxing, people. Like, subscribe, all that shit. Yeah.